Welcome to the Online Course Masters Show, where we learn from the best online course creators how to better create and sell our very own courses. Today I chat with Simon Scotting, who teaches people how to run their first marathon. Like a marathon, we talk about the challenges of creating your first online course and how to stay consistent until you meet your goals. Visit onlinecoursemasters.com for show notes, to watch the video version of this episode, and see an archive of all our past guests. Please subscribe on iTunes, Stitcher, or wherever you listen. Please, if you haven't done so already, leave a review for this show wherever you listen to it. Now, let's get straight to the interview. All right, everyone, Phil Ebner here with the Online Course Masters Show, and today I'm so excited to have Simon Scotting here. Simon is a Udemy instructor, he's a marathon runner, and that's what he teaches, and he's created one course on Udemy about how to run a marathon. We met at Udemy Live in 2017 and had some great conversations, and I think this conversation is going to be really great for people who are just starting out and going through the process of creating your very first online course. So welcome to the show, Simon. Thanks for being here.
Hey, Phil, thanks for having me on.
All right, so let's dive into a question that I think will help people who are struggling, and that is, why do you think people fail at creating online courses or an online business or just a business in general? Do you have any thoughts about what makes people successful versus just ending up failing at something?
Well, I think the big impediment to starting something is people waiting for motivation. And that motivation is never just going to come. You actually need to make that motivation happen. So, and I think you get motivation by actually seeing some significant progress in whatever you're doing, whether that be creating a course or starting a business or starting a new project. And you've really got to force yourself just to get in there to work consistently until you see that progress. And once you see that progress, the motivation comes. And once the motivation comes, the confidence comes. And then you're just unstoppable.
Mm-hmm. I like that. And I think that idea of like having that motivation come from within is important too, because a lot of people might start because they see someone else is doing something and that might motivate them to get started, but you really have to do something yourself and start to, I guess, be more self-motivated to follow through and complete something, which I think is probably true with training for a marathon. I think that's one thing I can think about, that there's not much motivation to do it coming from outside of just wanting to do it yourself. I don't know. Do you think that's true?
Yeah. Well, yeah, you're not going to get rich running a marathon. That's for sure. Yeah. So it's got to come from within. You've got to have some kind of you've got to force yourself to do it. Mm-hmm. And I do think that being consistent is a huge part of it in the beginning. And once you start being consistent, it becomes a habit for you, and then it becomes really easy to keep going. And I do think that one of the big things that people also, once you get started, you need to actually push yourself, to keep going. You might be surprised how much progress you need to see in order to get that kind of motivation. Mm-hmm. So, with myself, for example, when I started creating a course, I thought about the idea for a long time, I should do it. And I need to get this in place. I need to get that in place. And then, I actually got started going. But I found it difficult to actually complete the course once I found out how much work was involved in creating the course, not just on creating the course, but then all the technical things that someone like myself had to learn on the fly. It was almost like, okay, I need to do this part of the project, but in order to do that, I need to learn this. But it might even involve learning, a sub skill of that to get up to here. So that was really difficult to stay motivated, to keep doing that and to get all these little setbacks along the way that you never think you're going to encounter until you actually come to them.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was tough. It was really tough. And then I started feeling a bit depressed about I've started this course and I can't finish it, and I really do think that for people who are starting out, the most important thing is consistency, is putting in that 1 hour a day or even just 30 minutes a day. I think it's going to be much more important much more beneficial for you rather than saying, okay, this Saturday I'm going to spend 8 hours doing it. You know, because if you think about your track record, like when was the last time you actually sat down at the weekend to spend 8 hours, you know, doing something brand, like, yeah, well, especially doing something brand new that's going to be really, really hard, you know. So why all of a sudden you think that this weekend you're suddenly going to, you know, feel motivated to sit down for 8 hours? It's just not going to happen. But I think it's just much easier just to say, okay, I'm going to spend 30 minutes, 60 minutes a day, and just get started doing it. You know, I think that's the easier question to ask yourself. It's not like, you know, can I finish this course, or can I, you know, can I do this course, but can I just get started? And if you can just get started, usually you find out it's going to be easier than you think it's going to be. It's just kind of breaking that barrier into actually starting the lesson.
And I hate going back to I'm going to be throwing out so many marathon metaphors in this episode, but it's like you can't just get up one day and say, I'm going to run a marathon or a half marathon or even 5 miles to do your first training. It starts with those baby steps of even just running a mile or even less. And so it's all about that consistent work and sticking with it and keeping your eye on the prize, though, in the distance, for sure. So let's talk a little bit more about your background, and for people who don't know anything about you, what's your background and how did you get into teaching online or thinking about teaching your first online course?
So my own background really doesn't have anything to do with creating my own course. I have a wealth management business, a financial planning business in Russia and in Tokyo.
Wow.
So it really doesn't have anything to do with it really doesn't have anything to do with my course. How did I get into teaching online on Udemy? Was that I got into running a few years ago, and I'd always wanted to do a marathon, and I don't know, for whatever reason, you know, I just like couldn't find time to find or you know, to do a training plan. And then I'd see a marathon, but it would be like next week or next month, and like, okay, I don't have enough time to train. Okay, next year I'm definitely gonna train. I'm definitely gonna, you know, make it happen. And then finally I was like, okay, I'm really gonna do it, you know. So I put plans together, ran the marathon. It went really well. I enjoyed it so much. Not just the marathon, but just the whole training process, and just getting better and better. And actually just seeing, like what you were saying about creating a course or anything, like my own confidence increased. And it's actually something I focus on in my own course with marathon running, that a huge part of it, people don't realize, is actually confidence. And a very small part of running a marathon is physical. And it's much more of a confidence or a mental thing. So it's really important to build that confidence up to actually do a marathon, and it's real confidence. It's not, you know, oh, I'll just fake it till I make it, but like you really need to have it deep down, because when you're running a marathon, your ego and all those layers just get shredded away, and you really find out who you are. So I really enjoyed that, and I really enjoyed the whole experience. And then I moved into running longer distances, like ultra marathons. So anything that's longer than a marathon distance is considered an ultra marathon. So I was doing sort of like 50 to 60 kilometer races, so about 35 to 40 mile races on trails. So it's not just flat running on the street, but it's ups and downs, and you know, it adds a whole different element, because you've got to eat, you've got to drink, you've got to pace yourself, you've got to decide when to speed up, when to slow down, and if you're getting hot, to take a layer off, or if it's raining, like you got to, you know, put a layer on. But that becomes like almost entirely confidence based. So I just found that really fascinating. And I started filming a lot of these races I was doing. I had a GoPro, and I was filming this stuff. And I'd finished these races, and I'd realized, like, okay, nobody wants to watch 2 hours of me running. But if I could cut this down into like 2-3 minutes of like really good highlights from the race, you know, and give people a sense for what it was like. So I wanted to share this experience. I thought, wow, that would be really cool. Like, you know, that's what I want to do. And I kept kind of putting it off. And then I decided, okay, I'm going to figure out how to do some video editing. And actually, I found your course on Udemy on Adobe Premiere.
Oh, nice.
And I went through, and I really liked your style. I really liked how you had us do a project within the course. So it wasn't just kind of learning stuff, and you think you're learning it, but then you turn, then you finish the course, and you're like, whoa, hang on, like, what do I actually do? So having that project-based approach, I thought was really, really good. And as I was finishing that course, I just was thinking to myself, like, oh, like, wouldn't that be cool for me to create my own course? And then I had doubt, like, no, I can't create a course. Like, I don't know how. And then I was looking at you and I was like, well, Phil did it, and everyone has to start somewhere, and then I just started thinking about, like, well, what's something that's going to be that I'm passionate enough about for me to want to do a course. And it was running, and it was marathon running. So I thought, well, wouldn't that be cool if I did a marathon course? And yeah, that's how I got started.
That's awesome. So did you run in like high school and college at all, or were you serious about running before, like, just getting into the marathons?
No. I played rugby at university. I went to university in San Diego State.
Oh, nice.
So I studied philosophy, and I played rugby. So my running consisted of running around the pitch, and I would run to the gym, work out, like run back from the gym. But yeah, it was nothing. It was nothing big. It wasn't like this. So it was something I got into later in life. I guess a bit of a midlife crisis. I guess it's pretty normal.
Well, it's a great. It's a great hobby to have, obviously, for your health too. So, what made you decide? And I think maybe it sounds like you're passionate about it, but why didn't you create courses about wealth management or something like that, which I would think has a bigger audience and potentially you could make more money from that? What was your decision did you even think about making courses like that?
No, I didn't actually. But you're not the first person to tell me that. So it is actually something that I have in the works, and something I'd like to come out with, is doing more of a something to do with investment management, or how to invest, or because there is a lot of really bad information or stuff that's just outdated, that just no longer makes sense. And from my own firsthand experience of being a financial planner and actually running an investment company for 9 years now, I do think that I've got a lot of real information to share. It's not just stuff that's been learned in a book, but this is real stuff that I've seen work, that we've made mistakes, that we've learned from those mistakes. And yeah, I'd be very happy to share about that. So yeah, why did I do marathon as a first course? It was just something I felt really passionate about. I guess I kind of thought that financial planning, wealth management was a bit of a dry subject. I wasn't sure if people would really be that interested in it. I thought that running would be something that might be a bit more interesting. I noticed that there wasn't really that much competition on Udemy for marathon running. Maybe that's for a reason, in fact. But the course I kind of found, like, they just seemed a bit a bit basic, and the fact that there wasn't that much competition on there. I took your other course actually on how to create a course, which kind of that's what really motivated me to create my own course. Is that I was thinking about it, and then you blasted us with the offer of, like, hey, I just created this course about how to create your online course, and I was like, okay, this is a sign, right? I need to make my own course,
Nice. Well, you followed your passion, and I think that's exactly what I teach in the course and tell people, is that especially for your first course, you want to pick something you're going to enjoy just talking about, even if it doesn't have the biggest audience, even if it's not going to make the most money. The process, and I know you went through quite a process to get the course up and running and published and approved on Udemy. You want to be having fun while you're talking about it. So I think it ultimately was a good decision. And who knows, like, Udemy is going to continue to expand, and yeah, maybe the marathon running, our audience isn't huge right now, but you're already ranking number 1 when I search for marathon in Udemy, which is a good sign. So as long as they continue to grow and get more people and expand to, like, the other niches and not just tech courses and stuff like that, I think this course that you've put together is a high quality course, and it should continue to make some sort of sales as they expand, which is awesome. So let's talk about your first course experience and what that was like, putting together the course on how to run your first marathon with confidence.
Okay, so I knew a lot of stuff about running, obviously, and it was a little bit difficult to imagine like a beginner's mind frame about, okay, what if I knew nothing? You know, what would I want to know about running a marathon? So I just tried to write down as much as possible. I wasn't sure how long the course was going to be. It turned out to be much longer than I thought. Running seems pretty basic, but there's just so many little nuances to it, you know, with preparation, with training, with confidence building, with physical training, the actual race day. Also, something that's never really talked about with marathon running is like what to do after the marathon, like how to actually recover, and like, you know, what to really do next. So, sorry, what was your question? I lost my train of thought there.
Oh yeah, no, that was great. Just what was the process of putting together your course like? When you got, you know, you have all this information, it ended up being longer than you expected, but how about in terms of like the video quality and putting together a video? What were your struggles? What did you learn about putting together a good video? And I don't know, any extra things that you added to this course to make sure that it was good and that students would like the course?
Yeah. Okay. So it was really tricky. So after I created this big outline for what I wanted to teach and how I was going to structure everything. Yeah. Then I had to figure out how to actually film it, you know, and how to actually edit it, and that, you know, things like lighting, and watching your course, and like I couldn't find those bulbs,
the paper lanterns.
I could find the paper lanterns. I couldn't find the actual
big bulbs.
Not the bulbs. I have the bulbs. No, the actual like the cables, the plugs.
Socket.
The sockets. Yeah, like I couldn't find them here in the UK. So I ended up getting these other lights, and then I had a what's it called, DSLR camera that I used for filming, and I was trying to film with it, and then there's something funny about the audio, and then I had to do research into that. I just got stuck in this like rabbit hole of like fixing problems, and each time like like my confidence was high, like my motivation was high, and like each little problem like chip my confidence away that I could finish this course. Yeah, and then I was kind of in this like what startup people call like a trough of sadness, bro. I was just like stuck in this limbo area. It was like I'd started it, I'd made some progress, and I just felt like I'm just getting more and more stuck, and I'm not making any progress here. I think I was trying to make it too perfect, and I know that what you say and what other people say is like, don't worry about making it perfect. Like just it needs to be good enough, you know. And I think I was trying to make it too perfect, and it was causing me to procrastinate, because I was like, no, I've got to get this before I can do that, and like this has got to be perfect, and I need to practice like the way I don't feel like filming today, you know, like I'm a bit tired, you know, I don't have energy. Okay, I'll do that tomorrow, you know, I'll do that part tomorrow. And I was just kind of procrastinating rather than like actually just getting on with it, you know. And your first course is going to be a mess. And it's a good experience. Like I wish that I had done like a shorter course, you know, maybe just I could have done one on like how to run a 5K, you know, or like how to start running, and just had it like 20 minutes longer. Like what's the minimum on Udemy?
30 minutes is on Udemy. Yeah, 30 minutes.
Yeah. I think like my big advice, I think, for first time creators is like make a 30-minute course as your first course, and just try to release it for free, you know. And you could even make like a big course, and then you just film like sort of a introductory, maybe the first or second section, and have that for free, just so you can release something, so that you can learn, you can actually go through the process of filming, of editing, of figuring out all these little technical things that you're never going to deal with until you actually sit down and have to actually deal with them. That you can do that like on a smaller project and get that satisfaction of finishing it. Yeah. And then take a bigger chunk out of actually making another course.
Yeah, I think that's great advice, because everyone who's thinking about creating an online course might think, oh, I have this great idea for this masterclass best-selling course, but the process is so hard, especially for someone who doesn't know how to shoot video and edit video and do all of that kind of stuff. So just starting with something small, I think, is great. And one thing that you had emailed me about was that during this time you were reading the Lean Startup And so can you talk about this idea of the minimum viable product? I mean, what do you think is the minimum viable product for a Udemy course? What does that actually look like?
Yeah. So yeah, great question. Yeah, that actually got me through finishing the course because I was just getting stuck in like trying to make it perfect, and I read this book, Lean Startup, and one of the big things that Eric Ries talks about in this book is this concept of having an MVP, and because you're not really sure, like especially when you're starting out, you're not really sure who your audience is. You're not really sure like what they're going to want. So rather than try to spend 6 months or like a year creating some like absolute masterpiece in your mind course of what you think people want, like just actually getting the absolute minimum done in terms of like creating that course and just seeing what the feedback is from people. Because to be honest, like it could be a complete disaster. Like it could be like bad content or nobody's really interested in it, and it'd be better to be brutally honest, like to spend 1 month finding that out rather than spending 6 months wasting your time to actually do that. So I think going through the course, like creating a course that's going to be an MVP, and having this mind frame also of just thinking like I just need to get it done, and you don't have to be feel like this is my absolute best work, but this just needs to be good enough. Like I need to communicate clearly to my students about what I'm trying to get across to them. I think having some type of project-based approach to a course is going to be like a really great thing, but it doesn't have to be that complicated. I was trying to do things with graphics and text, and I had this idea like, okay, you know what, I could also like record like audio files, and like people would download that and they could listen to that on like their smartphone like while they're running. And,
yeah. No, I get that, and those all sound like great ideas. But at the end of the day, does the value added equal the amount of extra work? Especially when you're just getting started. Those are things that you can add later if you find out that they're beneficial, and maybe it's something that will help increase your reviews or something like that. But I love the idea of just when you're getting started, just that MVP, minimum viable product, just get something out there. The 30-minute course. And I like the idea of picking like a beginner or a target audience that is sort of maybe something that you could upsell to a future course. Like you said, like how to run a 5K or how to start running. I think even at this time, that might be a great course for you to create after the fact to get people into your funnel, into your brand, which I think actually with your course that you have, you picked a great target audience, and I think, or you were very specific with your target audience. And I'm looking at your course landing page, and it's for people who have already been able to run a 5K, which I think is a good way to approach this course. And you say preferably a 10K, because you're not gearing it towards people who haven't even started running. And I think that end result turns into getting the good ratings that you have, because people are signing up and they're not like a brand new runner and they're thinking, oh, well, this isn't for me anymore. So how did you go about figuring out who your target audience was for this course, and any other advice for other people when they're trying to find who their target audience is?
Yeah, so when I was first going to do the marathon course, it was just going to be like a general, like run a marathon, run a faster marathon, run your best marathon, run your first marathon. And it was through your advice I got through your course about really, niching down on the markets, and keeping in mind that beginner market is going to be the biggest market. If you think about, you're going to have a really wide beginner market. Some of those beginners are going to become intermediates, and then there's going to be a small group that are going to be advanced users. So instead of having like a really broad course about marathon in general, like focusing on first-time marathon runners. And then I thought, well, I don't want to have like just, people who are sitting on the couch and they're not running at all. So yeah, just like trying to make it even smaller, just in terms of like, this is for people, you should be running a little bit, like you shouldn't be a complete beginner. Minimum 5K if you're feeling confident, like, but preferably a 10K, you're going to be more comfortable like doing this course. It just seemed like it just seemed like great advice, and advice that I took for a change from you, Phil, instead of just ignoring it and thinking that I knew best. Yeah.
Hey, Phil here. Are you enjoying this episode? I really hope you are, and I hope you're learning to become a better online course creator. If you want to fast track your success, head over to onlinecoursemasters.com and get your free trial of the full flagship program, the Masterclass for Online Course Creators. Get more information at onlinecoursemasters.com. All right, so you put together this course, did all that work to figure out who your audience was, got it published and approved by Udemy, and I'm sure like most instructors, you're sitting there waiting for the people to come, start buying your classes. But talk about what the reality was and actually how you did end up making your first few sales of this course.
Yeah. So, of course, yeah, you go through the whole process, you hit publish, and unless you have an existing audience to sell to, nothing's going to happen. Actually, to be honest, even if you have the audience, you need to announce it to them anyway, and I think from my own experience with starting a business and really like always working in sales, I knew that nobody cares, like you have to make them care. You've got to get in touch with people. You've got to let them know that you have this product and that you want them to buy it too. Mm-hmm. So that's what I did. I reached out to people that I felt were interested, like people that I knew, that I was friends with, I was connected on Facebook, or even just people I would just text message like, hey, I've created this course about running a first marathon. I'd really love some feedback. If you could take the course, let me know. Speak soon. And I kind of customized. I would cut and paste it, but then I would customize it a little bit just to make it, a bit friendlier.
Yeah, so it didn't feel like just like a mass email that you just sent to everyone on your contact list. It felt a little bit more personalized.
Yeah, I tried to make it a bit more personalized. Yeah, but I didn't follow up with people about it. It was just sort of like a one message thing. I wasn't gonna like hound people like, hey, take my course. It was just like, hey, I made this course. If you want to take it, great. If not, like, don't worry, I'm not gonna bring it up ever again. No, no problem. And I was surprised. Like there was a few people, for example, like I was connected to on Facebook that I sent it out to that I hadn't really spoke to in years, and I was just kind of like, well, let's just see what happens. And then they were like, oh, cool. Yeah, of course. Like, I'll take it. Wow. Like, okay. Yeah, thanks.
And so this is a paid coupon. How much were you offering it for?
For $10, because at that time I really wanted to get reviews. That was the main thing, and that's what I said was like, I'm really looking to get reviews. If you could take the course, give me an honest review, that would be great. I need feedback. I really, like talking about that MVP course. Like the most important part of that is getting that feedback and then making the changes from it. So that was really important to me. Was like, okay, like I finished this course, like please take it. Please let me know, like, what's unclear. What could I improve on? What would you like to see more of? So I did that. I lost my train of thought again, Phil. Sorry. Well,
I know you sent me that you told me you made a couple $100 from that first month. And I think for some people that would be quite a success to launch a product. But I also know you invested a lot of money into equipment and things to get started. So after that first month, kind of what were you thinking? And I don't know, since then, have you felt motivated to continue creating courses? Is there anything you would change about how you created or promoted that first course, or what's your game plan right now?
What's my game plan right now? Yeah, so I launched it. It's doing it. It did okay. I didn't make up what I invested like in new equipment on it, but then at the same time, it's not like I can still use that equipment for other things. It's not like I can't ever use this camera or this microphone ever again. I can still use it. I think in the first month I made $180 on it, on the course. It was what I was expecting. I was expecting nothing, so it was like, great. Like, I've got some traction with this. I've got, the fact that like, I've got some numbers, like it starts from zero. I know that. I've started my own business. I started from zero before. You just need to keep pushing. You get the first student, you get the second student, you get the third student, and it just goes from there. Of course, I mean, looking at more established instructors, you see that they're counting their students in the tens of thousands or in the hundreds of thousands, and that's just like, wow, but yeah, they started somewhere too. They started from zero, like just like I did. You know, I know that it's just an ongoing process. I think the key with that is just like the consistency, you know, and the number of people that have just created one course on Udemy and then, you know, walked away from it because they felt like, oh, you know, people aren't coming to me. I can't make it happen. Like this is a waste of time. It's a waste of money. And you know, Udemy is just a platform that enables course creators to make, you know, well, not even to make the product, but just to have a simple way to offer it for sale, you know, and I know that they do a little bit of work in terms of promoting courses, but they're really looking to pour gasoline on fires that are already, you know, blazing away. You know, they're not going to just like chuck money at you as a first-time creator on your first-time course without anything to show for it. So for me, like after creating this first course, like I wanted to create other courses and seeing how like other creators that have done well. You know, there's nobody on Udemy who's done well that just has one course.
Yeah, that's really rare. Yeah, I mean, there might be a couple people, but they probably had their own audience already. Yeah. They probably were able to sell it to them. But yeah, I feel like all the people who have that I know that have had a lot of success, they have multiple courses, and usually it's not their first course that is their best-selling course. That's for sure true. Yeah.
So it's probably taken them a little while to figure out what to do, and maybe they had a bit of a pivot in terms of their own direction. You know, I mean, I know that you've created, like, I remember after I did your course and I had a look, I was like, oh, I wonder if Phil like made any other courses, and I was just blown away by the depth that you had in film and video editing stuff. But then you also you've got a baseball course. You've got a financial planning course yourself, don't you?
Yeah, I have a basic finances. I mean, I've taught courses on all kinds of things, and I partnered with so many people to create courses just on topics that I think are fun. And I think that it's just this snowball that continues to grow, especially when you're starting out. You don't have anyone to promote your course to, and if you continue creating courses and start giving away or create a free course to grow your list, you know, your next promotion or launch of a course is going to be better, and it's just going to continue to get better and better, I think, as you create more courses and your audience continues to grow. I think that's just the key to long-term success on Udemy and really on any platform, just that consistency of creating more courses or just more content. So yeah.
And I really saw it as a learning process of like, okay, how do you create a course? Like, what is that learning process like to create the course? And now I feel like I understand it. And then, but that's only, I think creating the course is only like half of the actual work. And then once you create that course, you know, then you get to the hard part of the actual process, which is promoting it, you know. And if you've got 0 followers, that's when the real work, you know, takes place.
Have you started doing anything like that? I know you have your website, which I was just checking out, and it seems like you have a blog and you're writing about running, but what are you doing right now to grow the audience off of Udemy to potentially be able to sell your class later on?
So I created that blog as a way to promote, as a way to sell the course. And then also as a way actually just to try out like other ideas that I have, and, you know, perhaps do something else with it. I've recently launched a YouTube channel too, as a way to, well, remember I had those race that race footage that I need to get out somehow. So I think that would be really cool to start producing that on a regular basis and putting that out, so that people can watch that and be like, wow. And then, right under that, I'm like, hey, like, want to run your first marathon with confidence? Like, here's a link. You can do it too.
I mean, I think definitely there's this potential, even though the market on Udemy is small, the market for running and for running marathons is actually probably fairly big. And if people are like me, when I start a new hobby, I like dive so deep into that topic. Like, for example, I've always cycled, but I never was into mountain biking until a couple years ago. And my wife got me my first mountain bike. And for like the next week, I was just watching YouTube video after YouTube video about mountain biking. And I found the channels that taught like the basics of mountain biking. Even before, I think I don't know why I was like waiting to take it out for a ride or something for the first time. Maybe it was raining or something. And like, so I was waiting for like a couple weeks, and I just like ate up so much content about it. And recently we like adopted a dog, and it's kind of the same thing. I'm like researching on YouTube and following blogs and finding all these people who teach the basics of dog training. And so I think like having a YouTube channel and a blog set up that hopefully can, you know, help people who are getting started is a great way to get people into your funnel. And I bet there's a lot of people who, you know, are interested in running marathons who, if they're like me, they're just going to find your content and gobble it all up at once. And then you have that premium offer of the class to offer them.
Yeah, yeah. And it's something that I was looking at a lot, because if you look at Udemy, you know, and you think like, oh, there's not a market for people who are interested in marathon running. But looking on Amazon instead and looking at books, and there's so many books about how to run a marathon, and so that's why I kind of gave me a bit of motivation, like to keep going with it. Was like, okay, so there's definitely people who are interested in buying a book, you know, and they're willing to spend $20-$30 on buying a book about how to run a marathon. Like, could I present that information about how to run a marathon? You know, and have a different angle, like coming in for this, like, you know, how to build your confidence to run a marathon. And I, you know, provide that in a video format, you know, easier to digest, which I think, if you're talking about running, sometimes it's easier to see how people do it. You know, so filming an actual technique, I think is going to be easier than reading about it in a book and trying to, you know, visualize it in your head. I think it's a better format for that.
Are there have you done a lot of research? I'm sure there are, but are there like YouTube channels dedicated to marathon running or just running in general?
Yeah, there are. But they tend to be focused on sort of like how to run your best marathon. You know, so there's nothing that's really focused on, like YouTube wise, at least, or at least that I could find. Like most of the stuff about marathon, it's like how to run your fastest marathon, like how to run a sub 3 hour marathon, like how to qualify for Boston Marathon, you know, like that kind of thing.
It's for those advanced people, those like super advanced people, which, you know, for someone, it might make sense. Like, oh, I want to create this like advanced topic, but like we've been talking about, to capture the widest audience, you really want to go for like the beginners. Kind of like what you're doing, people who have started running, but now they've done a 5K or a 10K, and now they're interested in, you know, taking it to the next level. So I think, there's definitely room for it, I think. We'll see. I think you should do it. So we've been talking about marathons. Do you have any other advice about just for people trying to stay consistent and be productive? Anything you kind of teach about in your class about training, anything that we can like take away, a mindset, technique, anything that will help everyone listening be more consistent and productive?
Yeah, and I mean, the irony does not escape me that, you know, I created this course about how to run a marathon. I'm talking about things like be consistent, you know, plan your schedule, prepare your gear, you know, and then I suffered my own kind of like wobbles in terms of actually like creating the course and feeling like, oh, you know, I'm not feeling the progress. You know, I don't know I don't know if I can make it through it. You know, I think starting small is going to be such a good idea for your first course, just so you can actually learn how to do everything. Being consistent, I think, is huge. It's the same with marathon running. You know, a lot of times when I mention to people like I'm into marathon running, and they say like, oh, I'd like to do that too, but I don't have the time. Like you must run like 3-4 hours a day, and like no, you know, like you just, you know, like marathon running, you're much better off running like 30 to 60 minutes a day rather than trying to squeeze like 6 hours of running in on the weekends. You know, you're just going to get injured, you're going to get burnt out. And I think it's the same thing with creating a course. You're much more likely to see the results, see the progress by putting that work every single day, you know. And from my own experience, like I to batch too much stuff to get all of the writing, and then I'm going to do like all of the filming, and then I'm going to do all of the editing. And that was a mistake. Like I should have actually just done like, I'm going to do like 15 minutes of writing today, you know, and then like 15 minutes of filming, 15 minutes of editing. because
then you see a little bit more of like what you actually accomplish, and you get something done tangible that you can see, instead of, you know, trying to write out everything or film everything, and then you get burnt out on it and you don't see any sort of progress. You don't really see the progress you're making. So I like that advice.
And also you can actually see your own mistakes. You know, so there was stuff like that I'd filmed, and then when I actually went back to edit it, I realized like I need to redo this. Like, you know, I don't know, the angle was off, or like I was too, I don't, like, it was just wrong, you know. But if I'd been doing that on a daily basis of like filming and editing, for example, then I would have noticed that, and then I could have corrected it, you know, or I could have just at least like gotten that feedback in terms of like, wow, like I look really awkward, you know, like I need to relax a bit more, you know, or like I need to like breathe, or, you know, rather than just thinking like, oh no, like I'm sure they won't notice like how nervous I am like while I'm filming this. So I think like batching it into smaller bits, especially for the first course, and just getting that you know, you don't have an audience yet, but just going back that concept of like an MVP, like MVPing it on yourself, and just having that feedback for yourself, like create that product, or, you know, maybe not lesson by lesson, but like maybe like section. Actually, why not? Yeah, why not in the beginning, like lesson by lesson, you know, creating it complete lessons, having a look at it, and just thinking like, okay, like how can I improve that for, you know, for my next lesson?
Yeah. I think,
because
definitely editing your own videos is, I think most people listening probably are doing that. They don't have editors to do it, but you learn so much from editing your own video, having to watch yourself, listen to yourself. You realize maybe some stuff is more important than others, and you don't even need to film that kind of content. And then you also see kind of like how you look. Are you relaxed or not? So I think that's definitely something people should be paying attention to. And it's a good learning experience.
I think doing it on a daily basis, like you'll find a workflow that will be easier, you know, rather than like, okay, I'm just going to do it the weekends, you know. But by doing it every single day, you're going to get into like a bit of a flow, and then it's just going to be easier to actually do it, and you're going to be more productive in that time that you're spending, that 30, 60 minutes. You can actually get a hell of a lot done. If you're really productive. But if you're just kind of stopping and starting because you forgot how you were doing it before, and you need to kind of catch up, I think it's just so important. And just really keeping in mind that that motivation will come. Like you need to make your own motivation with doing this, and it's going to be difficult. Like everyone's going to struggle through it, and even once you get started and you see some progress, like you're still going to go through dips. You know, and if you feel passionate about something right now, like I did with marathon running, use that initial fire to get started, you know, and don't lose that enthusiasm, you know, use that enthusiasm to kind of get through that rough bit in the beginning, make some progress, and then the motivation will come, you know, and then the confidence comes. Yeah.
Cool. Well, it sounds great. So I like to ask people who come on the show if they have any goals in mind for the next few years, so that, you know, if you listen to this episode down the road, you can keep yourself accountable. So do you have anything that you're working on, or any kind of bigger goals that you're working towards over the next few years?
Yeah. So actually, I want to create 10 new courses next year.
Nice. Do it. Do you have ideas yet for those?
Yeah, I do. I have a lot of ideas. I mean, I can make ones about like how to run a faster marathon. I can do ones about running an ultra marathon. I was going to do ones more on financial planning and wealth management and investing, which is what I know already. And I guess I didn't really think that there would be that much interest in it, because a lot of the times our salespeople are having to kind of convince people to invest. I didn't think people would actually pay for that advice that we normally kind of give away for free in order to you know, in order to get clients. But yeah, if people want to do it themselves, then yeah, we're fine. Like I'd be happy to teach people how to do that.
Yeah.
And then I was even thinking like to have some, I don't know, some kind of quirkier ones about, for example, like I climbed Kilimanjaro a few years ago. And like, what if I did a course about like how to climb Kilimanjaro? You know,
it's you know, like that's the kind of thing that maybe even if you do this, it might not be the best thing to put that on Udemy. But if you start to grow your audience off of Udemy, or somehow can get that traffic to a more of a premium course, so it's more worth it for you. Like that's the kind of thing that it's a big deal for people to climb Kilimanjaro, but it's kind of like me getting into mountain biking or whatever. When people decide they're going to do this, they're going to buy all the books they can. They're going to read all the blog articles they can. And if there's like one sort of premium course about that, that's $100, a couple $100 or something like that, that has all that information they need. I think that could be a great idea. And it's almost better than like just like, oh, how to climb mountains or how to, a general hiking course or something like that. For that kind of thing, I think it might be better to be more specific, even though the audience is going to be really small. And that's why I don't think Udemy might be the best place to put it, but on your own site or something. I like that idea.
Yeah. Well, but I think what you said before about like Udemy is a great way to kind of build an audience of people that are willing to pay you for advice, and then I think it's a great way, although you don't necessarily capture a lot of the value by using Udemy, because it's kind of a race to the bottom with like everything on promotion, all the time, and ending up giving away coupons for free to get people into the courses. But just as a way to kind of build that audience, and build and just gather your own tribe really of people that are going to be willing to pay continually for whatever you put out, because they like you, because they like your content. I think that's a lot of the reason that instructors like you and other instructors that are really prolific do quite well, is that your students actually get emotionally invested into you, and they like and they kind of build this relationship with you, and they like the fact that you're putting out stuff on a regular basis, that they feel like they know you, and they're like, oh, like Phil's not going to let me down, like I've got this relationship with him, he's going to keep showing up, he's going to keep helping me out,
Yeah, I appreciate that comment, but I think that's for sure true. People can find this information for free or buy someone else's course, but it's really ends up being the personality, and that relationship is the reason why people buy your next course and your next course and your next course. So I think that's totally true. Well, I'm excited to see more about, see those 10 courses that you make next year. I think by this time next year, we're recording this around Black Friday. Hopefully, your income is going to be 10 times or more than 10 times what it is right now, which could be awesome.
Yeah, which is hard to do, but yeah. And then maybe you'll come on my podcast, Phil, to grow.
Totally. Yeah, for sure. I would love to. So you have any last piece of advice for online course creators? Anything about, we've talked about consistency, but anything else that you want to leave people with as we wrap up this show?
Yeah, just get started. Like I think that's the biggest takeaway, is not like, Nike has that saying like, just do it. But I think the more important thing is actually just get started.
Yeah.
Just get started. Like, can you sit down and take that next step? Can you just sit down and outline what your course is going to be? Can you get started filming that first lesson? Can you get started editing that first lesson? Just get started. Just get started. Like, once you get started and you get in the flow, it's going to be easier than you think. Cool. So I think that's the big message, like for first-time creators, or for people thinking about it, or people that maybe started creating their course and then got hung up on something or demotivated and stopped. Just get started. And when you find yourself like veering off, like, just get started again. It's okay. You're going to get distracted. You're going to get demotivated. Just get started again every single time.
Cool. I love that. So where can people find out more information about you or find you online to follow you and your journey? I'll include notes at onlinecoursemasters.com. But for people listening, where's the best way to find you?
So I have my Udemy course, of course, which is called How to Run Your First Marathon with Confidence. So you can search for that. You can also visit my website, simonscotting.com. There's a blog there. I offer a free training course that you can download just as a PDF if you just want like a training regime of 14 weeks to run your first marathon. It's just distance. But yeah, if that's what you're looking for, like, that's fine. And then I'm on Instagram, Twitter, Simon Scotting, or Strava too. There's a social media network for runners, cyclists, triathletes called Strava. So if you're on there, connect with me.
That's a cool. I use Strava for my cycling. That's a great idea for like your students to. I don't know how you could use that, but somehow to build like can't you build like a club or a group?
Yeah. I was just going to say that, yeah, there's a way to create a club. I just actually found out about it a week ago. So I was going to create a club for the students so that they could see like who's running, keep everyone motivated, see who's actually run their first marathon. And
Nice. Yeah, that's awesome because like I know how that is like with cyclists that I know, like, you see them doing their stuff and it motivates me to try to ride more, ride longer, or whatever. So I think that is going to be a cool thing in your class. So that free training schedule or whatever it was, that's on your website, simonscotting.com?
Yeah, it's free as a PDF. You can download it. You can choose either kilometers or miles, whichever way you think.
That's awesome. And that's like a great sort of lead magnet, because I remember when I ran my half marathon, that was like the first thing that I was like looking for, is like a training schedule. And sometimes it's like harder to find than it should be. Like it should just be there. Like you should just be able to go somewhere and download it, and it should just tell you exactly what to do. So cool. I'll definitely include links to that on the show notes. So cool, Simon. Any final thoughts?
No, just get started. I mean, I think that's the big thing. It's just get started. If you're not running already, start running. I think it's good not just for the body, but it's good for the mind. It's good for the soul. As I say in my bio on Udemy, I think that human beings were designed to run long distances over land. Like we were not designed to sit in chairs looking at screens for 12 hours a day. So I think there's something primal about running, and it can feel a bit awkward in the beginning to start running if you're not running right now, because you're not used to it. But if you give yourself 30 days, if you just do like a little bit, just like creating the course, like if you have just go for a run every day for 30 days, it'll become a new habit. It'll become much more comfortable. It becomes addictive, It becomes really addictive. You start producing your own endorphins. But I figure there's much worse things to be addicted to. So you might as well addict it to something like running that's going to be healthy.
Yeah, totally. Cool. Well, you might get people addicted to creating courses too. So thanks, Simon, so much for being on the show. And I look forward to seeing your success and just following your story in the future. So thanks again.
Hey, thanks, Phil. It was a real pleasure to chat with you.
I hope you enjoyed that episode. As always, if you want to fast track your success, head over to onlinecoursemasters.com and sign up for your free trial of my flagship program, the Online Course Masters Masterclass. Yep, that's right. It's a masterclass designed to take you from zero to hero, creating and selling your very own online courses. If you haven't done so yet, please leave a review for this show wherever you listen. This is how we can help expand our audience and help teach the world. Thanks so much, and we'll see you next week in the next edition of the Online Course Masters Show.